Hello everybody, welcome to episode 9 of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. In the bonus content, we built ourselves one of these, being flown by Valentina Kerman. It's got an extra crew hatch that doesn't have any crew in it right now, and a little maneuvering vehicle, a booster stage, the main ascent stage, a couple of solid rocket booster stages. This thing is meant to get us up to him, actually. In fact, we can set as a target. This thing's meant to get up to Nettle's shipwreck. So Nettle Kerman has had a problem and needs to be rescued, and it's up to us to go save him. So, without much more fanfare, we're going to get this episode underway. Start the clock. In 3, 2, 1, blast off. Surprisingly, this guy was able to get us there into orbit. 71 by 89, that's kind of an interesting orbit. But that's okay. Okay, for rendezvous, we want to meet up with that guy. Our descending node is off by 1 point something degrees, but we'll worry about that later. So if you're wanting to rendezvous in something in a similar orbit, best thing to do is pick an arbitrary spot on the orbit bar. And this is really similar to going to the moon, but rather than looking for a sphere of influence change, we're going to get some rendezvous little markers. And we want to get that nice and close as we can. Okay. So now we have this little thing here. This is where we're going to end up. This is where our target's going to be when we get here. Excuse me. So we need to make these things match up. So all I need to do really is drag this around about like that. Now we see that I need to add more delta V, that's right. And we're still off a little bit. So basically right there, our target's going to fly by us. We look out here, we see that we're actually flying past the orbit a little bit, just barely. The first intersect is going to happen here. You just bring this a little closer. So we can actually wheel this around a little bit more. Add some more velocity. And that's pretty good. 90 kilometers away. At this distance, 90 kilometers is really close. Now the rest of what we can do here is we know that our plane is off, and we can actually see we're pretty close to the descending node here. So we might be able to add if we do that and fix the angle, pull, oops, wrong one. I need to, so I'm using the mouse wheel for really fine adjustments, but you got to be careful with it. Just like that. That's still 90 kilometers away, but I'm going to go with that as our maneuver. And once again, this is a 1 minute and 32 second burn. We don't know how long it's going to be with this engine in this configuration, so we're going to go ahead and get ourselves facing that way. Like this. And fast forward to the next maneuver. Charge is fine. All right, just like that. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fire up these engines at two-thirds throttle. Because I know that this fuel tank is going to run out of juice before long. And then we're going to be on this one, and this burn time is going to change anyway. We can get these guys facing more like that so we can see our cockpit. Any second now, and we're going to be out of gas. Boom, done. Next stage, full throttle. So this is a nice long 3-minute burn we got going on here. With this little guy. Wow. Oh, no. So with this configuration, we have 100 and 200, 340 seconds. Basically double. So coming up on like 320 seconds, maybe a little bit of fudge factor, is 300 seconds of fuel. That is 5 minutes. So when we actually get out to the spot, we're going to need to do a circularization burn and then do some maneuvers to catch the guy. But after that, all we need to do is burn a little bit to get back and re-enter. We have a heat shield and everything for that. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here while we get rid of this next 2 minutes worth of burn time, and we'll catch you near the end of the burn. Hang tight. Okay, we've completed the burn essentially, but we do need to do one correction. We need to face orbit radial out and just kind of bend this orbit around a little bit. To get it where I want it. Oops. Shoot. Now we're wasting fuel making course corrections. Okay, we still need radial out. I'm going to move this orbit in considerable ways, actually. So what we can do is we can go prograde. There we go. We'll try that and we'll see what we're at when we get out there. So I'm going to fast forward time until we get closer to encounter. Okay, I fast forwarded time to where basically what we're going to do is we're going to raise our apoapsis. Need to find out how much fuel it's going to take. To do that. So what I'm doing is I'm setting my apoapsis to be a little higher than his apoapsis. And what will happen is we will slowly orbit around a little bit slower than he will. He'll eventually catch up to us and we can do the rest of the maneuvering to go rescue him. So, let me get pointed towards this maneuver and get it started. I'm concerned that I might not have enough fuel for all this. Because we need to do another 1 minute or so burn to get us back down to orbital re-entry. just keep pointing us raw prograde. Now that's interesting. We could burn ourselves to a moon encounter on the way back. Perhaps. And use that to return. Wouldn't that be an interesting exercise? Okay, a little bit of fine control here. Turn on both of these flags. I want to see my apoapsis get a little higher than his, maybe 100,000 kilometers higher. Something like that. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, right here at the ascending node, we can go ahead and warp here. So his craft is slowly but surely going to catch up to ours. At the ascending node, we face, we're at the ascending node, so we need to face south. Orbit anti-normal. And we're just going to fix this plane change. And it doesn't take much. Okay, our orbital planes are now so similar we can't tell them apart. Now it's just a waiting game, really. So we've got ourselves set up for rendezvous. Our orbit is on the outside track, which means it will take longer than his orbit to complete. It's on the outside all the way around, and we're separated by a mere 50 kilometers there, not even. 25 kilometers there. But out here we are separated by some 200 kilometers maybe. So we're just going to fast forward time until such time as he catches up to us. In fact, we can actually watch him approach at some point. Make sure our ship continues to face the sun. Get some solar panel power going on there. Pardon me, I had to sneeze. Okay. Just gonna get our ship stable like that, so it's always facing the sun, and then we have him set his target. So he should be back there somewhere. We'll just watch the orbit here for a little while. I'll catch up with you guys when we've caught up to him, or when he's caught up to us, so hang tight. Okay, I'm not seeing him on the thing yet, but he is 150 kilometers away, right there. Distance, 135,000 meters. Basically, if I face towards Kerbal, I should be able to see him. So what we're going to do, oops, let's turn on SAS. And, oh, we do have target tracking. Perfect. So our current velocity is 2.9 meters per second difference. We are going to just use a little bit of thrust to arrest that difference. And send it directly at him at, you know, a decent clip. How about 20 meters per second? Now, every little bit of fuel we use. So here we have a separation of 5 kilometers. Let's just keep an eye on here. Actually, here. Warp here. There he is, 28 kilometers away. So we're going to get within 5 kilometers of him. Once again, stop our velocity. And that actually might be close enough for us to take command of this. Go ahead and, as we fly by, go ahead and take us retrograde there, Valentina. full throttle to arrest our relative velocities. Can't quite do that yet. But now we're close enough where we can just get ourselves sort of going that way and fly by even closer. So you notice I clicked on this to switch to target mode. Now I have oops. Set as target. Now I have new controls here. So this points at the direction of the target. This is prograde with respect to the target. And we also have a similar thing, which is retrograde with respect to the target. So we're going to get to the closest point once again. Turn retrograde with respect to target. And apply a little bit of thrust to stop our relative velocities. Bingo. Now, can I switch over there? Yes, I can. We have this crew hatch here. Inside is Kerbal Kerman. We're going to go ahead and quick save this. We'll have him EVA. He can let go. Turn on his rocket boosters and get going. So all he needs to do is EVA over to Kerbal Orbit Rescue now at this point. And then we're going to be ready to get ourselves home. What I'm actually going to try and do, since I have so little fuel left, is something kind of crazy. Kerbal Kerman is now part of the space program coup. Congratulations. Well, we got 7,000 credits, or 7,000 funds, for what we've accomplished so far. I'm just going to EVA Kerbal over here. Nettle, is it Nettle or Nedul? I think Nedul is kind of fun. Kerbal Kerman got himself stuck in space. Okay, so we've gotten ourselves piloted towards the ship. His lights are lighting it up. We're going to just back it off here. Oops. And allow him to board this crew hatch. Board, grab, and board. All right, now the real question is, do we need to rescue the rescue? We no longer need to set that as target. We need to run some hypotheticals. We know we burn 0.55 fuel per second. So we have like 30 seconds of fuel, realistically. If that. If I was to add a maneuver to try and bring us all the way down to Kerbal re-entry, we are looking at a minute's worth of burn time, and we don't have a minute's worth of burn time. So instead, we're going to use 20 seconds of burn time and find a mooner encounter. So we're just going to wheel this around until it says, hey look, mooner encounter. Look at that. Oh shoot, you stupid game. Lost my maneuver. Oops, wrong one. So right there gives us a nice mooner encounter. Basically, the moon comes around, and its gravity is going to pull on us to slow us down, making our apoapsis much lower than it otherwise would be. So that's a gravity assist with the moon. It's going to maximize that, like so. And then once we come out of the moon, we should have, hopefully, just enough fuel to Well, let's see here. If I keep doing it. Usually your best bet is a one and done kind of thing. No. Okay, I want a minimum. I mean, if we're talking about being up, that's 1.9 million. Or 1.2 million. However, I think the rest of that can be done here. Okay, we're going to try that. Which means we're warping time to our next maneuver. Okay, resume my timer. Here we are on this next maneuver. We are going to burn 10 seconds, which will put us on a trajectory for a moon encounter. The moon will be coming in ahead of the moon, and the moon's gravity pulling us backwards will slow us down until the until we leave the moon's sphere of influence, and we're left with this elliptical orbit of 9 million meters to 1.2 million meters. And hopefully it should take a lot less delta V at this point than to drop this into the atmosphere, and we will be home safe. Having to rescue a rescue mission is just silly. That's all there is to that. So, 6, 5, 10-second burn. Just like that. Good enough for me. Our next step is moon encounter. Okay, here we are at moon encounter. Let's take a look at where we are. We have this much fuel left. There's Kerbal. There's the moon. You can barely see it behind the sun. And based on its position, it is actually, its gravity is slowing us down. So you can see our trajectory around the moon like so. We will end up with an orbit like this around Kerbal. So I'm going to fast forward to moon escape. As you can see really right here, I mean, it's really pulling us and slowing us down like that. Now the moon is leaving. It's leaving us behind as we exit its sphere of influence. And there we have it. So that's some of the really crazy gravity slingshot type of maneuvers you can do that are really well simulated in Kerbal Space Program. Now here's the real question. Can we burn retrograde? Do we have enough fuel to bring this down to re-entry height, which is like 32 kilometers? Or at least 35 kilometers. So let's turn on the engines and see how we do. I don't know. Maybe. $700 kilometers, 600 kilometers, 500 kilometers, 400 kilometers, 300 kilometers. Oh, this is going to be so tight. It's going to be so damn tight. $55 kilometers. We are touching the atmosphere at this point. 45. 32. We have a re-entry corridor. We have 1.87 units of liquid fuel left. We're good to go. Everything else is going to happen as a result of gravity and air resistance doing its job. So, at this point, we're actually down to seeing how well this capsule re-enters. So hang tight while we decouple. Save that. Decouple. And SAS turn off. We don't need it anymore. And I will catch you guys at re-entry. Okay, we're at re-entry interface right now, and we are using SAS to help stabilize our craft a bit. It's wanting to tumble around. I mean, it's all right. It's not too bad, but it could be better. If the center of gravity was a little further down, I'd be much happier. But as it is, this will work. I don't suppose rotating our ship does anything, does it? Let's just stabilize right there. So we can go ahead and use some battery power. We have it. Keep ourselves facing as close to retrograde as possible. We're going to lose the solar panel, probably. But we are now re-entering Kerbin's atmosphere, bleeding off extra speed as we go. Even if we lose battery power for the choosing electrical charge equally from both. That is the other solar panel that's risking, that's saying it's going to overheat. I'm going to turn off those heat gauges. They seem to use a lot of memory right now. It is taking us a while to get rid of all this excess speed. That camera change tells me that we are no longer in orbit. We are now officially coming down. Looks like probably in Kerbin's desert. Still burning off a blader. So this is a bigger, heavier pod. It has more momentum. And that momentum is what's causing us to take so long to actually slow down. I'll just do this. Hopefully that'll use a little bit less battery power. Okay. We can go ahead and turn off SAS. Reentry is looking pretty stable at this point as we continue to slow down. So I will talk to you guys in just a little bit at parachute deployment. Okay, we are falling down. The ablator is no longer burning, and parachutes. Alright, there we have it. Splashdown and recovery. In this one we didn't gain much science. But we certainly made a lot of funds. Also, we managed to rescue Nettle Kerman, who gained 4 XP. What kind of Kerman is he? He is a scientist, and he's already level 1 because we rescued him from space. That gives you a quick idea of how cool it can be to use gravity assists from other objects that are in orbit like the moon or Minmus, or even other planets. Now that we have all this stuff, we can go ahead and terminate these extra things that are flying out there. We got some debris and that thing like that. So our skies are clean. A successful rescue attempt, earning us 72,000 funds, and 1 science and a little bit of reputation. Reputation is always good, and that's probably why we got some science, because we're converting reputation to science. So there you have it. Successful rescue of Nettle Kerman. Until next time, keep flying and stay shiny. Goodbye!